Ladies and gentlemen, Don't Come Here With That Bullshit podcast has returned. And after the events today, we're leaving again. Ladies and gentlemen, it is your host, Clockavelli Soda Poppy, Sweet Clock Jones. And today we have a very special episode. I have two special guests. One is brighter than ever and one is whiter than ever. Ladies and gentlemen, the first one, the Bumblebee. With the yellow do-rag on. Ladies and gentlemen, you may know him as the LD.
Hello, guys.
Which is my special guest host tonight because Andre and Torrance not here. Now, if you look over here in this corner.
We about to box?
No, you ain't finna box.
Oh, okay.
Look over here, we got somebody very special. This man goes by the name of Wes Nessman.
I didn't even know we were filming, man. I thought we were just talking.
No. I could never talk that smooth. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a privilege to have you on this show. I always said, if I can get somebody like you on the show, I call it quits.
Well, you got a low bar there, man.
I know, I got a high bar.
Okay.
Sir, how are you doing tonight?
Great, man. I've been working on the haunted house all day, did radio all morning, but like I said, every time I've ever called you, you've been there for me. So I'm here for you. So
yes,
whatever
sir.
You want to do.
Well, you know how we do this show, because this is my show.
This is your show.
K-Loc and Friends, Andre. This is how we do it on the show. We want to get to know you. So me and you been knowing each other for...
What's it been, 5 years?
It's been 5, more than 5, less than 10.
Man, it went by quick, didn't it?
Yeah, it did. Now, I just want to say you was one of the people that I got to know that it's been one hell of a privilege to get to know. Tell me about your roots and where do you come from? Are you from Lubbock?
You don't know where I'm from?
I do not know where you from.
I'm from Compton, California.
Wow.
What? You coming straight out of Compton?
I was born in 1962 in Compton, California, and moved to a little town called Norwalk, California when I was a toddler. Moved to Texas when I was about 16. Went back to California for a year. Lived in Austin, lived in Spokane, Washington, came back to Lubbock, and I've been here for 39 years.
Damn.
40 years.
So what gang was you in?
Do what?
What gang was you in when you was in California? Because you kept going backwards and forth, so.
Well, dude, I don't know how to answer that. It was Bloods and Crips. I don't know which I was, but I will tell you that I lived with my great grandma, not 10 houses down from Compton High.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I never would have took you as a Compton light. Where's your Oakland hat? That's what people in LA wear. They wear the red Raiders, not the Red Raiders, the Oakland Raiders. They usually wear
the silver and black. No, like I said, I didn't really connect with those roots or anything. It was an interesting way to grow up. I grew up a different way than most people from around these parts. I grew up around all kinds of people. Comfortable with all kinds of people, did all kinds of things, and it was culture shock when I came to Texas, that's for sure. Right.
Now, how old were you when you came to Texas?
About 16 or 17.
16 or 17.
Yeah.
And you came to Lubbock at 16?
No.
Actually,
Brownfield.
Actually, Union first, which is, a little tiny town outside of Brownfield. And man, I woke up after traveling all night in Union, Texas, and I was like, fuck. Because I was in the middle of suburban LA, Orange County. Well, Long Beach, you probably know better. And that's where my mom still lives. My mom lives in a town called Lakewood that's 2-3 minutes from Long Beach. And then, you couldn't get more city than that.
Right.
And then I travel for 2 days and I wake up basically in a cotton field. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, oh, shit. And then they take me to Brownfield and I'm like, this is as good as it gets. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then finally I see some of Lubbock and I'm like, okay, but it's still weird. Out here you got a city and then you got 40 miles of road and then a city. I'm used to.
Yes.
You don't know
Straight
where the
zoom,
next
zoom,
city
zoom,
is
zoom.
or
Right.
anything like that.
Right.
So, yeah, it was crazy, man, but it was good for me. Things weren't really happening for me in California. I was spending too much time stoned and stealing. But who doesn't do that shit when they're 15 or 16? Almost every kid does.
I didn't.
Yeah,
What did you steal?
I didn't.
Nothing.
I didn't.
Come on, you stole something.
I never stole nothing.
You stole something.
I was
With them pants,
bored.
you put something in those pockets.
No, I wouldn't. I was smoking. I smoked. I smoked me some weed.
Yeah.
But no, I've never stole.
You sell any weed?
No,
Come on.
no, I never sold.
I did. I had a little Sucrets box I would take to intermediate school, sell weed for 50 cents a joint, and I roll some fatties.
No, I never got into the whole selling thing because my brother was a drug dealer.
Yeah.
So I was kind of just like the nerd.
It wasn't like that, dude. It wasn't like you were a drug dealer. It was more like
Selling snacks.
it was more like you were a friend who was helping people out. You know what I mean? That's how it always felt to me. So
I mean, not in my day. In my day, I would have been classified as a drug dealer.
well, and that's what's funny is because in your day you might have been classified a drug dealer, but you still do a hell of a lot less time than I would have done if I would have been caught. I just had no idea what I was doing. No, you think about what they do for people who had an ounce of weed in the 70s. You're gone.
Yeah.
But I didn't know that.
Well, I'm just saying. I mean, so you never got caught, basically.
Oh no,
See, that's the thing, though.
No.
You learned, you was in the game, and then you got out the game squeaky clean. That's the thing.
Got out of the game. I didn't get away from all the substances for a long time, but I got out of the game.
Yeah, well, I mean, you had your share of sales.
And football kind of saved me, because I didn't have time to get stoned anymore. You know what I mean?
So you played high school ball or college ball? Or?
I played high school ball. I was recruited for some college shit, but I had no idea what I was doing or how to pursue it.
Okay.
What position did you play?
I was an offensive tackle. I was listed as all-state potential. Racked my shoulder up pretty bad. Kind of took me off the list there. I played against Tony DeGreat, if you ever heard of him. The big guy out of Snyder, Texas, who ended up doing really, really well. But, I was more into the lifting weights and all of that stuff than I really was the football.
So what was your high school weight?
High school weight was 185.
And you was an offensive tackle?
Back in the day, dude, it was pretty big. Back in the day.
No, that's my weight. I thought you was going to go there.
No, I wasn't going to ask
Let's not talk about people's weights.
Yeah, we know
sorry.
your weight. That chair's been screaming the last 5 minutes.
That's my weight now. And this chair is it's an old chair.
No, dude, I actually had a problem. We were so poor, I couldn't put on any weight.
Oh, okay.
And I can't believe it. My football coach told me when I was 17 years old, he goes, you need to have a beer every day to put on some weight.
Damn.
And I'm like, you're telling me to drink beer? And you're my football coach? Yeah.
Damn.
Yeah.
Offensive tackle. You don't get a wider position than that.
No, you don't.
Like, besides the water boy.
Well,
Yeah. So, from football, where do we go from after football?
After football.
Wait, we still in high school, right?
Yeah, we're still in high school.
Wes Nessman, okay.
In high school, this is that's actually not a bad way to segue there because when football was over, I went into speech class. UIL shit.
Right. There we go.
Academic type.
Yeah, drama,
yeah.
persuasive speech and stuff like that.
There we
so
go.
I did some speech competitions and stuff like that my final year. Now, I had already had some public speaking experience.
Right.
I kind of got into that other shit just so I could go on the trips.
Right.
So let me back up a little bit here because this is kind of interesting. In LA, they have giant flea markets, but they call them swap meets.
Right.
And they usually happen at drive-in theaters. And I worked at the La Mirada swap meet. Now it's the Santa Fe Springs swap meet. And I got a job, and they had me work the speaker stand. Mm-hmm. And I'm like 14, 15 years old. And I would get on the speaker stand, and I would say, Space 812 has a selection of Asian carpets, you know, and stuff like that. And people would come up and give me bribes. And the way it was supposed to work is if they come up and tell me to say something, I say it, that's it.
Right.
But they would give me like $5 and say, I say this every half hour or something, so I don't have to come back up here. And actually, there was one space that was a head shop, and they would come up, and every weekend they would give me bongs and pipes. So all my friends had brand new bongs and pipes and water pipes and papers and just an endless supply of all of that shit. So I had already had experience speaking there. So after that, I went to football. Then I went into the speaking thing. I got a little tiny job at a tiny little radio station in Brownfield. That didn't work out because I threw a desk on top of the boss. He was actually underneath the desk like this going.
That's that Compton shit. That's some Ice Cube shit right there.
Well, you know what? You know, people throw the word disrespect around a little too easy these days. But I felt very, very disrespected. And he was standing in front of the desk, so I just flipped that bitch right up over on top of him. So that was the end of that job. And I headed back out to LA for not even a year, and I did some construction, and I went to work at Knott's Berry Farm driving a train. So I drove a train for a little bit, but I wasn't having as much luck with the ladies in California as I was in Texas. So I came back to Texas where I had a better supply line. Yeah. And
supply line of hoochies.
Exactly. And man, I was getting broke, and I took an entrance test back then to go to work for AT&T. You know, because I had some high school electronics and stuff, because back then, you know, in California, there was a lot of that stuff going on. So I took it, and I just blew them away. And they're like, we want you to come work for us and everything like that. And they said, we're going to train you in Muleshoe, Texas. Go have a look. And I went to Muleshoe, Texas, and I said, fuck this. So I starved, and I did some hot tar roofing, man. I got scars on my knuckles from carrying 5-gallon buckets of hot tar up roofs.
Damn.
Hey, that's important character building stuff, because once you do that shit, you're gonna, any other job, you're like, as long as it ain't hot tar roofing.
Right.
So the rock station came on here, and I was listening one Sunday night, and they had some girl on there, and I'm like, man, I can do better than she does. So I went up there and I said, hey, I want to do this, and I think I can do better than she can, or whatever. It's just arrogant little shit, you know what I mean? Right. And they're like, well, can you work 2 a.m. till 6 a.m? I'm like, and I get to play records? Yeah, no problem. So I'd drive up from Brownfield, and I would work there, and then met my wife, and she got pregnant. I don't know how that happened.
Oh, yeah. That's mysterious. I got 2 kids myself. I don't know how they showed up.
So,
I'm like, what is this?
I went into the radio station. I said, listen, guys, this has been a blast, because we were fucking savages, dude. Just savages. And I said, this has been a blast, but I'm going to have to probably tone down. I got to go find a real job. And the guy goes, are you sure? Because what's his name just quit, and we were going to make you full time. And I'm like, okay. And they put me on for $600 a month.
What year is this?
1981 or 1, I think.
He might have been balling.
Yeah, that's a good
600?
lick.
Yeah.
In the 80s?
Maybe.
You know, when you got a pregnant wife,
yeah, that's
but she had a real good job too, and she didn't mind the fact, that I give a shit she was making any more money than me, and she didn't care. So whatever, man. If we're a couple, we're in it together.
Right.
In it to win it. No big deal. So that's the radio thing. Okay, that's the whole story. We took it from Compton to the amusement park to California and then back to Texas. So that's where we're at with that.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the legend of Wes Nessman tonight. I always wondered that too.
Most of it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, we're still going.
Yeah.
I'm just letting
Are
you
we
know.
going to pay any attention to the Hornet over here?
What the?
Nah, he's just here to fill up a chair. He's just here to look good.
Yeah. They don't need to know the legend of me. It ain't much.
But he is a content creator. You asked him what he did. He was modest. Start talking about his job. He meant, what do you do? What's your spill?
My job.
You dance and stuff.
Okay, I don't dance. I'll make a funny video here and there, I dabbled in a lot of stuff just cause I could do it.
He had a radio station
I
too.
had 2 of them. 2 online radio stations.
Oh, okay.
I just did a lot. I done did a lot. But we're not talking about me. We're talking about you.
We are talking about you. Now, 81, 82, you got in the radio. Did you know as a kid or as a teenager, was that like one of your things, like when I grow up, I want to do something with entertainment?
No, dude, no.
You was just a natural.
I thought I was going to be doing what these people are doing right here. I thought I was going to be doing live sound reinforcement for
Taking
bands
all
and
my
stuff.
money?
Yeah, that's it. Taking all your money.
Yeah.
They look like they're getting rich off of you.
Texting me, bothering me. But other than that.
No, man, I thought I was going to be doing live sound. And you know what? I have trained hundreds of kids in radio. There ain't no jobs anymore, but there used to be and stuff. And one thing I always tell kids, even today, is you may be thinking you go this direction, but be very open to a little off this way and a little off that way, because that's exactly what happened to me.
Right.
I thought I was going to be doing live sound, and I end up doing this radio thing.
Right.
Right. So that's my advice to them.
Now, I want to ask this, because this is pretty a good question. You're going to like this one. Okay. What is the difference between radio then and radio now?
I like that question.
You like that?
Yeah,
that was a good one.
Yeah, well, computers. Yeah. You know what I mean? I'll tell you this. It's getting smaller. It's getting smaller by the day. And, and a lot of it's getting automated. But personally, I love working with the equipment. Mm-hmm. I don't like that people get replaced.
Right.
I don't like that talent gets replaced. I don't like that it gets homogenized and sanitized and all that stuff. Right. But I love playing with all the gadgets.
Right. Yep.
You know what I mean? Because back in the day, radio was a war, dude. It was, I heard somebody describe war as like really, really long, boring stretches punctuated with moments of complete insanity. And that's kind of how it was in radio, because I spun wheels of steel right over here to my left, 2 turntables over here, while I'm putting in tapes over here, while I'm talking here and hitting buttons here. So basically you do nothing for 3 minutes, and then all of a sudden you're doing all this shit, you know what I mean?
That's real old school.
And everybody can, hear it and stuff. So I like having it all in front of me where I can do this stuff. And it's weird, dude. I hate to get too deep with all this. It's what I do to pay the bills.
Right.
It's what I do to pay the bills. Do I love it? It could be a heartbreaker, man. It can be a heartbreaker. It really can. It can be tough. You know, I think I'd rather be a little bit more low profile than I am. You know what I mean? It's you reach that level to where you know, I ain't living in no great house, but people do look at me weird in the supermarket like, hey, do I know that guy or whatever?
Right.
So you get some of the shittiness of it,
I ain't gonna lie, Wes.
and not the Skrilla.
I ain't gonna lie. Remember, I ran into you at Walmart at like 6 in the morning,
Yeah,
and I was just like, "What the hell is Wes doing at Walmart?"
yeah.
He's not a civilian.
That's the best
He's
time to
Wes
shop.
Nessman.
I used
That's
to go
the best
3,
time
4 in
to
the
shop.
morning. Yeah,
Man, I miss
I
that.
just wasn't
I
expecting
miss
to
it.
run into you.
I miss it.
they all night. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I go at 3 o'clock in the morning after I done left the club. Walk around. I might buy something, might not. Who knows?
Might steal something.
Okay, no.
Like, when you called me earlier, you was at Walmart.
Was I at Walmart?
Yeah, when you
No, I
called
was
me.
at Hobby Lobby.
Oh, you was at Hobby Lobby. Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I
Yeah.
miss a good Walmart run.
Walmart at 3 o'clock in the morning was the best.
I wouldn't go after the club. Mm-hmm. That's just
I didn't have nothing else
that's just
to
you
do.
not getting no coochie.
Okay.
Might as well buy a lamp.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That big
Go
eating
buy
really
a
struck out.
loaf of bread.
Buy some peanut butter and a cucumber. So, are you our longest radio personality that we have in Lubbock?
I think so.
I believe he
Legend.
is. I believe he's
I
at 39
think so.
years.
Well,
How long was it? How
well,
long
no,
have
you
been
gotta
with-
remember I disappeared for 4 years.
Right.
And the radio station is well, yeah, well, about 39 years total, but not 39 in a row.
Yeah.
Well, we always count the 39. It's just like relationships.
Yeah.
Like, we just gonna keep the 39.
Okay, so me and my girlfriend were on a break for 3 years or so.
But you don't count that. It's all together.
Yeah.
It's all in one big
Yeah.
bag.
Time don't restart.
Yeah, so yeah, it's been a minute, and you know, and this town's pretty comfortable, and I like the fact that I've been able to change this town, and in some positive ways, and change some people in some positive ways, and it's really hard to make that kind of impact in a bigger town. And I was, you know, there's a very, very sad part to my story that I don't want to get into.
Okay.
But there were many opportunities for me to move to bigger, better places, but I kind of had to stay here
Understood.
to, you know, to be near doctors and things like that.
Right.
You know what
Understood.
I mean?
Right.
And you know, and I do regret a little bit not seeing a little bit more of the world, but I don't hate it here or anything like that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right. Now, as far as radio go, we can talk all night about radio, but we gonna kind of dance around. Mm-hmm. Nightmare on 19th Street.
Yes.
What's the story behind that?
What made you want to do that?
Well,
Why do you want to scare fat people?
That can't run?
short version is I was just like, you know, this radio ain't getting any bigger. I need a side hustle. And people were calling the radio station every year going, where's the haunted houses? Where's the haunted houses? And I knew the guy out at the amphitheater. And we heard of some other guys that were going to put together a haunted house. The 4 of us went in together. And then I kicked out my partner, and he kicked out his partner, and the 2 of us kept this thing going for 18 years. So again, why do you want to do it? It wasn't necessarily that I wanted to do it. I just did it because it was there. You know?
Did you think that it would be as impactful as it is?
Impactful? No, dude. No, and that is one of the reasons. That is one of the reasons why I have kept it going. That's one of the reasons I've kept it going. I make a little speech to all those kids each year, and there's about 100 of them each year. And I tell them, when you come through these front gates, You are no longer from Monterey. You are not from Coronado. You are not black. You are not white. You are not gay. You're not trans. You are Nightmare. And I expect you to have your brother and sisters back in this place and out there on the streets. And I feel like I've helped a lot of these kids build a really good community. And they were all fucked up kids. You know what I mean? A lot of us are.
Right.
You know what? I don't know your history, but I know by the fact that you're sitting here talking on a microphone with Show, you have got something going on in your back that made you want to act out like this. Okay? I know that much. It's a lot like these kids. Some of these kids are poor. Some of them are loners. Some of them, have really, really tough lives, but now they got a place to belong and be weird and have a good time. You know what I mean? And they're stars. They're little stars, but they're stars.
Oh, yeah, they scare the hell out of you.
And I'm telling you that, there was a couple years when things were really, really lean. I was like, man, I want to fold this shit up, go do something else. But I couldn't because of the kids.
Right.
And then we did well enough. We got one in Austin, too.
I didn't know
really?
that.
Yeah, my partner was finishing a degree here at Texas Tech. He does crazy math, just crazy math, and nobody wants to do that shit.
Right.
So if you can do it, you get paid.
Yeah. Right.
Well, he went to work for the Army Corps of Engineers, and they said the only thing is we want you near a supercomputer. So they gave him his choice of a few towns, and he went to Austin. So after he would travel back here and help me with the haunt, and after a while, we finally found some land on the outskirts of Austin, and we opened a haunted house there called Bat City. And it just finally got traction this last year. So we're running 2 of them now.
That's crazy. Cool. I didn't even know that.
That is cool.
That's dope.
Have you ever dressed up and acted in the...
Oh, yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, I do Jason.
Yeah. I figured that.
I do Jason, and then occasionally what's funny is the last few years I've been doing Krampus, which you may or may not know, but I have to wear painter stilts.
Right.
So when I wear these painter stilts, I'm a good 7 foot plus, and I have to have people walk in front or behind me because if I fell over in them stilts, I'd be dead.
Damn.
I would be dead.
They pretty high.
Yeah, and I'm pretty old, and it's rough. But I do it. I do it when I'm needed, know. But for the most part, I try to let other people have that kind of fun.
Yeah,
and it is fun, man. I've had a lot of people like you just come out and do a night or two and just have the time of your lives. It's. You got to remember when I say kids, that's me saying people.
Right.
I got one lady who is 60 some odd that works days at United, that works out at Nightmare. Would not miss it for the world. Loves the community.
Right.
I got a guy I was working with today. He's in his 50s and stuff like that. But yeah, most of them are high school age.
Right. They call you Pops.
They do. And do that. I can't tell you how proud that makes me.
Right.
It really does make me proud.
That's awesome.
Are you a big horror movie guy?
Not as much as you think.
I was thinking maybe this guy has a fetish for scary movies or something.
Like a Rob Zombie type.
Maybe, yeah.
Oh, you know what? I like a whole bunch of that stuff, but I wouldn't consider myself like a super fan or anything like that.
Not a freak.
No. In fact, no, I wouldn't say so. No.
So, what's your favorite horror movie though? You always do Jason, so it got to be Friday the 13th. Right?
Yeah, I always thought those movies were shit.
Really?
Yeah. Well, think about it. Those movies didn't really have any story. Okay, now you guys don't know because you're young, But, you know, we went from Halloween, which was really, really intense. And it had a great story and everything, to this movie where there's just guys just going around stabbing people. True. It didn't have much going on. You know what I mean? I liked Freddy better. I liked Nightmare on 19th Street. And I liked Halloween better. It's just, I got the build for Jason. I mean, or had the build. I lost 40 pounds this last year. Yeah. I'm going to start doing Michael Myers since I'm all slim now.
Yeah. You might as well.
I'll look good in the jumpsuit.
Yeah.
So favorite horror movie, though.
You play Jason real well, I tell you that.
You know, I just like all of the Evil Dead movies and Army of Darkness and stuff like that.
Never watched them.
Yeah.
Evil Dead is with Ash, right? Ash.
Yes, you got it. No, you know what? Actually, I think probably my favorite horror movie would probably be Scream.
Scream?
Never watched it.
You never watched Scream?
I've never.
How do you
seen
not watch Scream?
I have never seen a day of Scream.
What?
I hate it. No. I don't know. I've never been interested to watch it.
You know, I did something with that movie that I never did with any other movie. First and foremost, it came out in the movie theaters, and it was like not on my radar for some reason. I don't know. But the minute it came out on VHS tape, I went and got it. I watched that movie. I went to bed. I woke up in the morning and I watched that movie again. And it's like, I ain't never watched the same movie twice that close together. That's how much I really, really liked what they were doing.
Scream was that good.
You know what? It's not necessarily that good, but it basically talks about all the other horror movies that you saw.
Yeah.
So you instantly kind of relate to what's going on there.
So it's like a parody within itself.
Not really.
Parody?
Not a parody, but
Tribute would be a better word.
Yeah. Okay, I've never watched it.
The parody would be
Scary movie.
Scary movie.
Right.
Which is funny. Scary
That's
Movie
coming out
1
next,
and 2.
next year. No, wait, 26.
Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah, Scary Movie 6.
Scary Movie 6.
With the Wayans.
You heard it here first.
No, you did. They already heard it.
They heard it on my show.
Okay. Plug it. Plug it. Like you getting paid for it.
Yeah, so you play a good Jason. See how I went back to that?
Yeah, you play a good Jason.
I play a good Jason.
Yeah,
And a good Krampus, too.
And Krampus, yeah. And I just do what I want, you know, where I'm needed. You know, just fill in where I'm needed.
Okay.
That's
You know,
cool.
All right. Where you're needed. Here's another good question. You're going to love this one, too.
Yeah, but let me hear it.
He's going to love this
Let me
one,
hear
too.
it.
Lubbock comedy.
I was wondering when you were finally going to get to the funny part of this
Come on,
shit.
man. You know I got to trail through the... It's a worm.
Right.
It's a worm. Okay.
It look
Lubbock
like shit
comedy.
rolled down
What
hill.
made you take an interest in Lubbock comedy?
Okay. All right. Now, I try to... Man, I'm sorry. Every one of my stories goes on forever. But
That's cool.
back in the day, in Lubbock, there was two really happening clubs. Well, there was actually three. There was the Rocks, and there was Fat Dogs, and then there was a dance club called Rock Z. I don't give a shit about the dance club, anything. But the other two would like book rock and blues bands and stuff like that. Well, on occasion, they would start booking comedians, people like, you know, Bill Hicks and Captain Rowdy and all these people. And me, I just want to go out and drink and stuff. And, you know, and the wife would be at home or whatever. And I would go and watch the comedians and like Bill Hicks. And I don't expect you guys to know who he is, but he is one of the most influential comedians ever. He would just come over the table afterwards and we'd just sit there and have drinks and shit. So I really started loving comedy much earlier than that, which was where I should have started my story.
It's okay.
I've already fucked up my story.
It's okay. We got tape.
Okay. Let me go back a little
your
further.
shit. Okay.
A little further. When I was a kid, I started going to the library with my mom, and I started checking out Cheech and Chong records and stuff like that, and I would like act the stuff out. Then my old man went to work for Drummond Distributing in California. Drummond Distributing was the first black-owned liquor distributorship in California. Nobody was calling on the black clubs because they were afraid to call on the black clubs. Drummond Distributor and one of their main money men was Wilt Chamberlain. I got to meet Wilt several times. My old man went to work for them. And he was the only white guy there. He was totally accepted, and they would send all kinds of stuff home with him. And my old man would just give it to me and not even really pay attention to what he was giving me.
Right.
He was like, Al Green. Okay, this is good. You can listen to Al Green.
Right.
And I'm a little kid listening to Al Green and stuff. And it's all bootleg shit too. And he's like, Richard Pryor, he must be a good singer. Here, you can have this Richard Pryor thing. So I'm listening to all this Richard Pryor stuff too. So and I didn't know it at the time, but my parents were enjoying weed back in the day too. And they'd like bring me out at their parties and I would act out Richard Pryor skits, man. I'd do the whole Mudbone skit. And I had a whole bunch of what they used to call party albums from Red Fox and stuff too.
Yeah.
So anyways, that kind of got me into the comedy and kind of into the whole acting out kind of thing. And then in Lubbock, I started playing with the comedians at the Fat Dogs and the Rocks and all that stuff. All right. We're continuing on the radio. We're into the haunted house thing. And my partner goes, man, we got a little bit too much money. If we don't do something with it, we're going to just have to pay taxes on it. And he really wanted to open up a club. And I did not want to open up a club. But I was like, okay, if you want to, I can probably get some bands or something like that. And I built that little club, or redid that little club on Texas Avenue, the Freaky Tiki.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, and we had that little diagonal stage, and it was perfect setup for one guy with a guitar or stand-up comedy. Mm-hmm. And that crazy bastard Dave Longring came in there and said, you need to be doing comedy here, and I know a bunch of comedians and stuff like that. Well, I started bringing the comedians in, and the comedians, all of them had like, I don't know, 3-4 good minutes, but they wanted to talk 20. You know what I mean?
Right.
And one of the things that Dave would occasionally do is he didn't want to do material. He didn't want to do any of that. So he'd just tell people to write shit on paper, and he would just talk about it, make it funny. Well, I took all those ideas together, and I came up with the Lubbock Laugh Off. And we said, okay, we're going to do 5 minutes of stand-up. We're going to do some questions. And then the roast came much later when we added the roast. And I did all that because the comedians weren't good enough at the time to pull a whole show.
Right.
Well, we did that, and then our last 2 laugh-offs were absolutely fire limit. You couldn't pack people in. And then me and my partner found that land in Austin, so we quickly sold the bar so that we could buy this land in Austin. Mm-hmm. And then we moved the laugh-off over to the World of Beer, and we did like 25 laugh-offs, every single one of them standing room only. And that's where I fell in love with you guys, the old school crew. I can't keep up with the new guys. Feldman and Caleb Davis and you and Kimothy and Joe Cash and, all the old school people. Rainey, of course. And that's how I kind of got involved in all of that. So, and I wanted to, also take the family out once a month, just so that I didn't focus too much on work. So that's how I put together the whole laugh-off thing.
Brilliant.
I don't know, man. If you haven't figured out anything from our conversation yet, I have stumbled into every goddamn thing I've told you about.
But
from radio to the parks to comedy. I've stumbled into everything.
It's brilliant stumbling. I do the same shit.
Yeah.
I just don't have a bad city. I stumble.
Tell me about you. Let's turn this around a little bit. I've talked enough here. No. Let's talk about you for a second. One night at the Laugh Off, you, for the roast, did what appeared to be a freestyle rap that was perfect. Mm-hmm. Now, the next time I saw you do it, it wasn't so good.
Yeah.
The first time I saw you do it, it was fucking amazing. Did you practice that, or were you inspired? Did you just have the the muse at the moment?
The first one, muse at the moment. I've been freestyling for a long time. So it's easy for me to do that.
And you won that one too, didn't you?
Yeah, the first one. Yeah.
Yep.
Now the second time you see me do it, it was me trying to reciprocate some shit I saw that I did, and it didn't work. Mm-hmm. So the first one was a bang. The next one was a miss. Mm-hmm. So
that was some amazing shit, because it came out of nowhere, and that was like the second or third time you've been at the Laugh Off. So I wasn't expecting it. I was expecting you to go just into your regular stuff. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was pretty amazing.
Right. Well, the thing of it is, you want to have fun at these Laugh Offs. I think if we all go up there and we do the same shit, then it's gonna be boring. Somebody has to
spice it up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, dude,
you gotta fuck it up a little.
Dude, I love it when that happens. I'll tell you the most fun. I've told this 100 times. The most fun I ever had at the Laugh Off is Steven Feldman. One night at the Laugh Off, I don't know what the fuck he was thinking. He brought a briefcase up, and he had shit in there like Rubik's cubes and ladles and stuff like that. Right. And he did his regular act, but while he was doing it, he was playing with this stuff, and people were like looking at him playing this with the stuff, and they weren't listening to his material. He was getting zero laughs, and he just died like I've never seen anybody die before, and I was just over there pissing myself. It was so funny to me.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean, I could take joy at those kind of moments, too. Yeah, we had some good times, man.
Yeah. Well, who was that one guy that you had to throw out? He bombed, like, horribly. I don't even know if that guy was a regular or not.
You're talking about the guy I pinned against the wall, right?
Right.
That a fucking clown. Evidently, he was in that scene for a few months or something, and everybody swore by this dude, and we were doing the whole thing, and this guy kept going to the bathroom. And you know what? I've been through those years too. I know what he's doing. He's doing like loads and loads of blow.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And he comes out, and I can't remember exactly, but he like snatched that microphone from my hand, and then he just started being like really, really obnoxious. And if you remember, we had like a little time limit,
right?
You know, because we don't keep the show on time, so it's like it's a little bit of he's going over time, and I'm like, okay, all right, whatever. And he kind of slaps at me, and so I pinned that fucker against the wall and held him there. And until the people pulled me off, I have a violent nature,
right? A
little bit of a violent nature that I try to keep at bay, and he aggravated me.
Yeah, he triggered it.
And I tell you what, I'm pretty blessed because Selena has hidden the footage of the whole thing for a long time.
Yeah.
But I mean, what are you gonna do? This guy was an asshole to me. I pinned him against the wall. The bouncer showed up. What did I do wrong?
He was bombing too.
He was being an asshole.
Right.
You know, he wasn't doing comedy. He was just being an asshole with the microphone.
Right. But he was being an asshole and bombing at the same time.
Yeah.
And then he got through against the wall. The World of Beer, ladies and gentlemen. We had a good time up there.
Yeah, they closed that place up.
Yeah. It used to be such a vibe because I used to get off of work and then go do the Laugh Off. So I see you in your little white jacket running around there. And then everybody's waiting, and then you got this big ass crowd just waiting.
Right.
And then next thing you know, it's showtime.
Right. It was a good show, and we messed with it a little bit. You know what? I like the ones we did at the at Jake's too. I don't know that did you see the last one we did at Jake's?
No.
Over at Jake's, you know, I mean, there's not a perfect comedy room here. There's not, but at least at Jake's, you got a really, really good PA, and it went really, really well. You could really hear well and everything like that, but I got really, you know, I gave the laugh off to Selena 3 weeks ago.
Right.
I said, you know what, I'm too busy. I can't do this again. But the last laugh off made me so mad that I had to step away because it was so obvious that Sweat won that bitch. And I mean, he won it over big time. Mm-hmm. And we do a crowd vote. And the girl, who was very funny, mm-hmm. she is very, very funny, but she's not in Sweat's league.
Right.
She basically won, and I felt so bad about that. I was like, man, I created a game, and I don't like the rules to my own game.
Right.
You know, and it really just bothered me really, really bad. Because, man, he just leveled that room. He just tore through it.
Well, I think we all been fucked like that in the laugh off.
Well, it's funny, in the early days, I would tell people, you know what? This isn't really a competition. It's just an excuse for us to all get up here. And the crowd thinks that we're doing a competition. I would tell people that.
Right.
But that was just a royal fucking, and it really didn't sit well with me.
Right. I understand. Because Cole won a few times just because he was in a wheelchair. I'm going to put that out there. He was funny, but I think his wheelchair really got him a lot of votes at the same time.
So look at you picking on handicapped people.
It's the truth. It's the truth. Cole Walker, if you can ever roll your ass in here and come to this show.
Wait a minute. His name is Cole Walker?
Yes, that was his first joke of his show. You don't even have to make it.
Oh, okay. I was like, oh, okay.
And he had dirty shoes, too. I was like, how are your shoes dirty?
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's like your shoes should look brand new.
Right. Not a crease.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, you know, I mean, you know, back in the day, we did it to do it. And we all had a great time, and, you know, and is what it is, you know, and I hope it moves forward, and I hope it brings new people in with, you know, Selena running it and stuff. But we're going to have to remember that the rules of the game are, you know, it's not necessarily the funniest person's going to win. It's sometimes it's the, you know, and I should know this shit because, well, no, 20 years or so ago, I quit doing Battle of the Bands. If you remember back in the day, everybody wanted to do a Battle of the Bands. Everybody wants to do that. Okay, think about that. You put together 10 bands. How many of them bands going to go home pissed off? 9. That's not a good deal for anybody. Well, it's the same thing with the comedy. Some people feel blessed that they got to get up in front of 300 people. Some are just pissed off that they didn't win.
Right.
You know, and that's what I would tell a lot of people that did the laugh off. This may be the only time you ever play to this many people. And for some of them, it was.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Those big crowds of motherfuckers.
Yeah.
You look out there and they're all waiting.
Just to see it, people.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. So, I mean, you're still in the game. You're still doing some shows here and there, right?
Yeah.
When you write, do you write things down, or you just think up ideas and think them through? What's your process?
Ooh, that's a good one. So I like to start with an idea and I like to expand it.
Do you work with the rule of 3?
No.
The rule of 3 is important, my friend.
What is the rule of 3?
I'm going to explain the rule of 3 to you right now. You can look this up on the internet. Now, where this originated, or where it come on my radar, is back in the day, there was Johnny Carson on TV. And Johnny Carson firmly believed in the rule of three. You tell 3 jokes on a topic, and then you move on. You tell the joke, you do a follow-up, you do a follow-up. 1, 2, 3. And then it's a new thing. 1, 2, 3. So all the comedians that wanted to be on Carson knew this about him. So they would all tailor their acts. So they would tell their jokes. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And they got that like that. So everybody started doing comedy with this certain rhythm. And the question is, was that rhythm always there and always necessary, or did he create this thing? And you'll find this, especially with a lot of comedians, early ones, that they always did that. Joke, follow up. And then they might do another follow-up to it way later in the act.
Well, I guess that's about the same thing.
But see, if people, the millions and millions out there that watched Carson back in the day, always saw their comedians 1, 2, 3, and then they see some comedian who's doing 1, then 1, 2, 3, 4, and 1, 5, they didn't like him as much because it wasn't that rhythm and it wasn't that rule of 3.
That's a good thing right there.
I don't know if it's a good thing, but it is a thing. And
Well, it's a good guideline, but I don't know, because when you up there, you got to kind of go with the rhythm of the crowd. This joke might hit hard, so you might just have to wait, and then you can probably freestyle and put some stuff on top of it before you segue into the next topic.
Right.
So-
But if you kind of keep 3 in mind, you make sure that you don't do that one joke too far that sucks the wind out of everything that you did before.
Right.
Because that's a terrible thing where you go, man, I had him, and now I just lost him.
Right. Yeah, that's some interesting. I've never heard that. I don't know. I don't even know where I learned how to write jokes, to tell you the truth.
You know, my favorite thing to quote people is when I was in Spokane, we had this Joe Bob Briggs thing. He does this drive-in movie thing. Really doesn't matter, but somebody wrote into him and said, Joe Bob, I really like your writing. How do you become a writer? And he said, write. You know what? You sit down and you write jokes every day, you're going to get good at it. You're going to get really good at it as long as you work at it.
Yeah.
You know, and you put those hours in. So if you spend a little time on this each and every day, it's eventually going to happen. There's no way that it won't happen.
Don't look at me.
Yeah, right.
You never said this. Don't you look at me.
I've said a lot.
LD's all like, you got to get to work.
Yeah.
Yeah, he calls me drunk and cusses me out all the time. He does this all the time.
You know, we have a thing on the morning show that every day before we leave that room, we write 3 jokes. And sometimes it turns into 8 or 9, and sometimes it is a struggle to do 3. And it's helped, man.
That's good. Speaking of that,
Go ahead.
The Rock Show.
Yeah.
Rock.
Chrissy Covington.
Right.
Did you discover that gym?
I know she's going to see this. Did I discover that train wreck?
Yes, that train wreck.
Yeah. I saw her at the Laugh Off.
Right.
And I wanted her, and I said, if I ever need a morning show partner, I'm going to call her. And then she moved away. So I hired somebody else. And then that girl died. And then I called, it's worse than that. And then I called Chrissy, and she said, well, I just got laid off from my job that day. And then I managed, I guess everybody felt so bad for me because my partner died that they said, well, we're going to give him whoever he wants. So basically just hired her out of nowhere, you know?
And you regret it every day.
Every day. Every day. I'm like, I could have got like one of them robot puppets or some shit like that that don't talk back, and instead I got her.
Karen, how much time are we at again?
You only got 2-3 minutes left.
Yeah.
We still got 5 minutes left. LD, anything you want to say?
Yes. So is rock your genre of choice?
I come from a rock and R&B background.
Okay.
I'll tell you, I've never really got myself into hip hop or anything like that.
Right.
But back when I was a kid, we would buy, the new Bad Company record, the new Earth, Wind and Fire record, the new Commodores record, the
Right.
new Styx record.
Right.
So that's my background. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, I've been listening to Al Green since I was just a little kid, and I'll call it up at the Alexa at the house, and then it's time to dance poorly.
Yeah.
This guy knows a thing or two about music. He shared my singing video the other day. He knows a thing about R&B. I tell you that.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, I love it. You know what? I love what they call divorced dad rock. I love heavy metal. I love all of that stuff. Music is a club that I want to belong to, and I don't care, which club it is. It's just music. I just always wanted to be around music,
Right.
man.
Okay.
All right.
Well, if you been watching this show, but you said you ain't watched it in a long time, we do a thing where we ask people their top 5.
Yeah.
So since you're a radio guy, I want to know your top 5 radio stations of all time
Top 5 radio stations?
Radio stations.
since you've been a kid.
Oh, okay. This is easy, dude. In LA, it was my main one was KMET, a little bit of heaven, 94.7 KMET. It was a rock station, but they did that kind of anachronistic jingle. And then there was KLOS radio station, and there was K Rock, which is still the world's most famous alternative station. When I was a first radio station I ever turned on was KHJ in California, which was a very, very influential top 40 station. And then, of course, FMX. We are a renowned rock radio station across this country. I don't expect it to be on your radar, but we have been cutting edge forever. We were, we were the first radio station to play hard rock bands like Pantera. I was the first guy to play Run DMC because nobody knew what to do with the record. And they were like, what's this thing? Well, it's got Aerosmith on it. Let's play
Rock
it.
This way.
You know what I mean?
Walk this way.
Yeah.
Don't do that.
So yeah, we have been an influential radio station across America for a long, long time and continue to do so. So that's my top 5. That's easy.
Hey, that's the way I wanted it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
Right. Easy.
Excuse me, guys. I kind of been sick. Well,
Why you?
I
Well,
was
good you-
sick last
Oh,
week.
you sitting too close.
And then he rubs that shit all
Yeah,
over.
you rubbed it all on yourself.
Get a tissue.
Don't come here with that bullshit podcast, ladies and gentlemen.
Don't come
Wes,
here with that sick
This
shit.
is the part of my show where I get my
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
banana. This is the part of the show.
Rotten banana.
Yeah, where I give my guests their flowers. Sir, since I've been knowing you, it's always been a pleasure. Every time you ask me to do something, I've been there. And I'm glad that when I asked you to come to my show, you showed up, showed love and respect.
Anytime. I wish we would have just joked more instead of talked about me, but you know what? Whatever we do is what we do.
Yeah, this is what we do. And
So maybe we can do it again sometime and just talk bullshit instead of talk other stuff.
because you got one.
Oh, yeah. Anytime.
There you go.
it
So,
is.
thank you for what you have done for Lubbock Comedy. I don't think you know what you've done for us, but you has helped us grow as a people.
Well, maybe for a little bit.
No,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what? With you by our side, it really helped us grow. So I always want to say thank you, and the other one should say it as well.
Well, man, thanks for the laughs.
Yes, sir.
That's why I was in it for the laughs.
Yes, sir. And other than that, thank you for being a friend.
Oh,
Thank
what?
you for being a friend.
Dum. Ladies and gentlemen, I got to sit up again.
Yeah, you
This
put
has
work into
been
that chair, man.
this has been another episode of Don't Come Here With That Bullshit podcast. And I don't know the next time you will see me on a podcast, probably on his. Ladies and gentlemen, it's Clockavelli, Soda Poppy, Sweet Clock Jones, KZ, Rubber Band K Loke, and this yellow guy goes by the name of
BLD. Oh, Bumblebee. Rotten Banana.
Yeah, there it is. Where can they follow you, sir?
You can catch me on DLD Instagram, DLD Facebook, DLD everywhere.
Nerd. Okay. Wes, do you got anything you want to say to the people, to the Al Green listening people?
Thanks for having me.
Yes, sir.
Thanks
Thank
for
you for
having me,
coming.
man.
You want to plug your stuff?
No, you plugged it all for me. That's all this has been.
Y'all make sure y'all go out to Nightmare on 9th Street on Valentine's Day. Is
Listen
that a
to
thing?
Yeah, we're doing a Valentine's Day.
Yeah, y'all go out there and get the shit scared out of you and then go home and make love. Ladies and gentlemen, don't come here with that bullshit podcast. We out.